much electrical energy, I can't hold the balance.
Try to stay calm, Jack!
Cowboy, stop it. Don't do that. I was just kidding. Please, Cowboy. One more. It's only a joke.
It's the Solo One Sci-fi podcast.
This is episode 167 of the Solo One Sci-fi podcast. I'm Michael Ball. As you can probably tell, my voice is not my usual distinctive self. I sound a bit more gravelly, and I think actually I sound like I could be like in a cowboy movie or in a Terminator film, like I need your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle. Or Clint Eastwood would say, "Go ahead, make my day." To make my day, in reality, I'm also joined once again by my Solo One Sci-Fi podcast co-host, by the gods of science fiction, by the gods of Martin Fowler. Hello, Martin. How are you?
Hello, how are you? Hello, everybody. It's fucking Christmas and Happy New Year.
Nearly.
We're back.
Nearly. I mean, we've only got 3 more shows actually to record this year. Then you're done with me until 2024. You've got Innerspace, you've got Doctor Who, and then you've got Trading Places, which is going to be a non-sci-fi episode at the end of the year as a Christmas special. But before we go into all that in the future, let's focus on the present. And let's focus on Martin Fowler in sunny, well, not sunny because it's dark now.
This thing you've got, I don't want to catch it.
Well, it's a computer virus, so you might sort of get it through your... So how are you? You sound better than I do. You all right?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. I'm going to see. I'm off to see Wonka.
What are you calling him? Oh, sorry. You mean that? Oh, sorry. I misheard you. Wonka. Yeah, because it comes out. I think it's released. Is it Friday this week? It comes out.
Yeah, I'm going Friday. Yes. Yeah.
It does have Hugh Grant as an Oompa Loompa. You do know that,
yes.
don't you?
Yes, I do. Yes.
Okay, it is a prequel. I love the. I couldn't stand that awful one about 10 years ago. That looked like my wife saw it with her mum, and she said it was terrible. I love the Gene Wilder one from the 60s, which was a lovely film. It's a really.
That's the best one.
It's a fantastic film. So, what have you heard about it? Does it something? Are you looking forward to it? Are you dubious about it?
I don't know. It's. I'm going on Friday.
Okay, well, let us know what it's because it's
I will do, and
yep.
I'd just like to say this to Warner Brothers while I'm here.
Okay.
Warner Brothers is took nearly 25-30 years to release Babylon 5 on Blu-ray. You release it and you turn it into a shit show.
Oh.
You brought it out in a box, and it's a stacked box with all the discs in there.
Right.
There's nothing with it. Stop it off now. You have Blu-ray transferred it, Warner Brothers, but you put no extras on it. There's no extras on it,
So
and you've overcharged for it.
Is it like an upscale then to the original sort of like
Yeah,
picture
I've got
quality?
it. Yeah.
And what's the upscale? Is the upscale
very
good?
pissed off on Monday.
What's the picture like? Then?
It is like the CGI. Apparently, they couldn't afford to do the whole of the CGI.
Oh, so they've done some of it again.
And they've done bits of when you're at close up on CGI, basically it looks good, but at distance out,
It's back to the old stuff.
But you do see the paint stains on the sets.
Oh, really?
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And there's one scene. You know
Yeah.
the lift doors.
Yeah.
When they show the wood.
What's that?
You
Sorry.
know the wood. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Have you?
Oh, you can see the wood. Okay.
Huh?
I know.
Yeah. When them lift doors close.
Yeah.
You know the wood, you see the paint stains on them.
Oh, okay. That's not good. That's not good at all. I mean,
You're
it's
frozen.
Hello. I'm
Yeah, I just want to say, Warner Brothers, you're over. I'm talking to Warner Brothers. I'm telling them off. Warner Brothers. Oh, for God. Anyway, Warner Brothers, right? You've ripped everybody off, and we're not happy about it.
Really?
Right, so anyway, I'm keeping it. but you overcharged for what it was.
Okay. Oh
And we didn't
God.
get anything special with it. That's
Okay.
it.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny in Babylon 5, but I don't like Babylon 5 as much as I should do. I like Babylon 5, but I've said this to you many times before that it was eclipsed via Deep
You
Space.
sound really bad.
That's all right. That's okay. It was eclipsed by Deep Space Nine. So I don't know. I wish Deep Space Nine hadn't been made in some ways. Then I would have liked Babylon 5 more. But it's a very good series. But it's horrible when you hear that they're sort of re-releasing stuff and not making much of an effort for you to pay the extra money for an upscaled.
I know. It was so overpriced. It was so overpriced for
How much
what
was
our
it?
expectations.
How much was it?
$69.99. But the Amazon sent me a $5 back.
Why did they send you $5 back?
Because apparently when I bought it, it was a different price. But to buy it is £70. It should have been $39 or $49.99. Yeah, there's no extras. There's nothing, man. Yeah, honestly, I was expecting a whole package of stuff, and I was gutted.
Yeah.
But it is nice seeing it in higher quality. I will admit that.
Yeah. Well, like I said, yeah, it's funny because
That's it now. I finished. I've got my point across.
No, I saw the Stargate SG-1 upscale ones, and seasons 9 and 10 are 1080p Blu-ray, but they upscale seasons 1 through 8. And I have to say that some people are saying that the faces look a bit too sort of waxy and a bit sort of like.
Yeah.
But I actually think that the Stargate upscale was really well done. I think it looks great. The sound's great. I'm very, very pleased with that. So it's funny how some things are done really well and others don't work at all. I'm still waiting for a proper good upscale of Voyager and DS9. The only two Star Trek series, and I'll get anything. I'll do anything to get those. I really would. You know, I mean, it's. I mean, the quality of the ones I've got is okay, but I really want.
Yeah, I want it.
I want it to be like as good as the Next Generation or whatever. You know, look how sharp that. They did a wonderful transfer with that.
Yeah.
But I know it cost them a lot of money. I know they couldn't do it the same way because it's too expensive. But you know, there are ways they could do stuff and make it look like a lot better than it was.
I've seen DS9 on 4K.
I've seen. Do you remember they did a special? Yeah, they did a special thing for the tribute thing. The in memory of the. And that looked fantastic.
That's what I want. That's what I want. That's what I want.
And I have seen some YouTubers who have used some software to actually make it look artificially HD. And for the most part, some of the stuff I've seen looks pretty good actually. And I could get by with watching that actually, and it would be a fraction of the cost of what they do with the next generation. So, and the technology is getting better to do this artificial HD thing, and so I reckon eventually we will get a good copy of it. But I hope that I hope it's going to be sooner rather than later because it just needs to be shown in its full glory, given what they did in the show. You know what I mean?
Paramount, you need to do it now.
Yeah, well, I mean,
for Christmas.
Well, Paramount actually with Star Trek. I mean, obviously now we've heard what they're doing for next year. They've got the cartoon, the Prodigy that's gone to, I think it's Netflix, so I'm not bothered about that.
Yes.
You've got the other one, which is going to be, I think it's going to be shown next September. But the two live actions, apparently Discovery is now going to be back in April 2024 for its final season. I'm not that excited about it, but I'll watch it. Apparently it's going to be more of a standalone episode, although there's going to be an arc, which it might actually, I'm actually glad about that because one of the problems with Discovery is that it's so art-based that you can't just delve into hardly any episodes just to watch it. You know, you know what I mean? And I like that with Star Trek. I like that, you can sort of delve into a roughly standalone episode. And of course, Strange New Worlds, from what I still gather, they're actually going to be doing a bit of production before Christmas because they want to get it pushed to release at the end, or I think in November, December 2024. And then also the Section 31 TV movie with Michelle Yeoh, I think her surname is. That's going to be apparently filmed about March or April next year, so it could come out next year as well. So we might have 3 live action things next year, which is great. Star Wars now officially has said that the only live action next year, which is still okay, is the Skeleton Crew, which I'll give it a go. I don't mind that, and the Acolyte. So we've got a few things next year.
And Foundation got given the go ahead for season 3.
Oh, is it? I didn't know that. That's interesting. Okay. I still haven't seen the second half of season 2, but I will watch that at some point. So I suppose really the other thing that we want to talk about, and I'm going to be interested to see how you talk about this, of course, is the second of the 3 60th anniversary Star Wars Doctor Who specials has come out. The second one was called Wild Blue Yonder, which is based on the song, which didn't really seem to have much relevance to the actual story, but there you go. So let's ask you, first of all, what did you think of Wild Blue Yonder?
Shit and nasty.
It was shit and nasty. I didn't mind it, actually. Do you know what?
You want me to repeat that again?
Yeah, go, please.
Yeah.
Go on.
Cheap, shit, and nasty.
Cheap, shit, and nasty. Oh, okay. So not just.
No, I'm joking. Oh,
I thought you meant it. Okay.
It hasn't gone down well with. It's not gone. I've watched a couple of reviews.
Right.
And they're having. I mean, some people have gone to war on it. It's finished. It's over. And
No,
I
was alright with it. I didn't mind
quite enjoyed
Okay.
it. And on the truth, I quite enjoyed it. I did like. I thought it was a very weird episode, and I liked it for that.
Yeah.
There was certain. They did it again, didn't they?
Yeah. This is the thing, and this is something which we have to talk about because now in the episode we only saw 5 actors: Catherine Tate, David Tennant, Bernard Cribbins, R.I.P., wonderful last appearance, a maid, and an actor playing Sir Isaac Newton. Right? Now, how do I say this and get it right? Because I'm being serious here, I'm not being horrible. Okay, now, Doctor Who, obviously, has been on a long time, and the old show, look at Marty smiling, sometimes used to reference proper historical events and historical characters, and it's been doing that since 1963. Doing it less these days, but it does do it occasionally. So Isaac Newton, who has appeared twice in Star Trek, both those appearances he was a white man. They decided to make Sir Isaac Newton a person of colour, which is not historically accurate at all. So I have to ask you, Mr. Martin Fowler, why the fuck do they do that?
I saw it. I got the text from you, and I thought, you can't. Look, it's done. It's done. But I thought, why would they do that with a historical character?
They've never done that before.
It's got
They've
nothing
never
to
done that
do
before.
with. It's got nothing to do with political correctness. Well, it has, but I mean is in their eyes, they shouldn't have done that. It did bother me. To be honest, I wasn't bothered. I didn't make a big deal out of it. But they shouldn't have done it. I mean, Star Trek, he was a white dude, and that's
twice he appeared. He was white.
Twice. Yeah. And when he's been in other science fiction things, he's been an English white dude.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not bothered. They've done it. I did when I watched it. You see, this is where, and there was something else they've all been kicking off over it.
Okay, what's the other thing?
It were pointless. All that was pointless. There was no point to it. Do you know? Because the actual episode, the story, I quite enjoyed.
I did too. I did too.
Yeah.
But I wish. Now it's interesting. I had a chat with or a text with my old mate Malcolm Patterson, who tends to listen to our show. So hello, Malcolm, if you're checking us out this week. And he's not a big fan of New Who, and he was saying, because I've been saying to him that this is these developments are quite a recent thing, but he said, and he actually got me thinking that a lot of all this tick box wokeness has been with Russell T Davies since the first time he was in it.
Well, he's admitted it. He's admitted it.
Yeah, but okay, that's fair enough. But I didn't observe it so much. So I was wondering if I was going to ask you, have we become a little bit more oversensitized to anything because of other things in media, or what is it?
Let me throw you a question.
Go on.
Did it bother you?
It bothered me that
when you saw that. Did it bother you?
Yes, because it was historically inaccurate.
That is the only thing that bothered me on.
That's what I feel about it. That is the only.
Not
issue.
about anything
not the
else.
Actor, not the actor. It was because it was a real.
And Doctor Who. Now people can shout and bob, but when Doctor Who first started, it was an educational program.
It was, and this is why I brought this up exactly.
Yeah.
And they were trying to parallel that, and they would never have had something completely crazy in the original. Well, not even in New Who. This is the first time I can ever recall in 60 years officially that they've decided to choose a person of a different ethnicity to the historical person in what they're actually portraying. They've never done that before, ever. And I just think to myself,
well,
why?
I sometimes think, is it our generation that's making a big thing about all this?
It could be. It could be, but all right.
This is why I don't jump on the big bandwagon, though. I've watched some people review it. I've seen things they've said really kicking off. And I think some reviews that I think they come a bit hard on it, and they got a bit too far with this, like that we're all trying to be brainwashed by this political thing. I don't believe that. People are going to say, I mean, the thing is, when I saw it and it was that guy playing as it is, I didn't think twice. So I knew straight away, I spotted, but my mind closed it off. I accepted it. I wasn't happy about it, but I moved on into the story. Within 5 to 10 minutes, I forgot about that beginning. That had gone from my mind. Okay. Now, some people are kicking off and they shouldn't have done it, but Russell T Davies, like the thing with Davros, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think. Look, I'm for equality and all this, and people should be people, but I think when they start being inaccurate and shoving it down your throat, I'm not into that.
No, I'm not either. I'm sorry.
That's where I'm not going to judge. I know some people have really come out and had a go at it and all this, but I do agree on that point. They shouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
But I mean, don't stop my life. It's done. It's there, and that's it. It's part of the history. Maybe he went to a fucking parallel universe and there was a different Isaac Newton. I don't know. But there was the other thing as well, where they're all kicking off over.
I know what you're going to say about the David Tennant saying that he actually fancied him.
Yes.
I wasn't so bothered about that because
I wasn't.
That one I wasn't so bothered about because they all do these sort of weird comical lines of dialogue. They've done that ever since. I wasn't bothered about that. That was not. I was fine with that because he was just like, And
well, he's a Time Lord. He's a
and he also has been a male and a female, and
yes.
I mean, a lot of people, including me, think that one thing that Russell T Davies has always got very wrong, and he's doing it again this time, is making the Doctor more of a sexual being, i.e., that he's attracted to people, whereas the Doctor has always been asexual. He's always been, or she now, has always been a character that's never been interested in relationships. He's a scientist, or she's a scientist, and looking for problems to solve. And it was only since the 1996 TV movie was the Doctor ever showing any indication of wanting something more of a romantic relationship with any of his companions. It's funny because my wife is a Doctor Who fan as well, but she dislikes David Tennant's era the most because the
Oh,
Doctor.
really?
No, she doesn't like David Tennant, but she didn't like the fact that the Doctor was romantically attracted to Rose and all this sort of stuff. Whereas when
Interesting.
Moffat came back, the Doctor with the 11th Doctor again, he was more of just an eccentric scientist, alien, and it was the same with Peter Capaldi, and even Jodie Whittaker. Although Yaz was attracted to her, that was never.
It never got explored, that, did
No,
it?
and this is the thing. Russell T Davies has done this now with David Tennant the first time. He's done it again. Well, not majorly, but it's hinted slightly the second time. God knows what he's going to do with a new guy. I really don't know. I mean, I'm not going to go there, but you know what I think he's going to do with this new guy. So
I mean, I watched one YouTube review, and he said the other day, he said they're making it for a certain audience, but I don't agree with that. I don't
don't know if that's exactly right.
I think what they're trying to do, though, and I'm not going to knock them on this, and I might get shut down. I think they're trying to be more inclusive with the 21st century audience.
Yeah, I can see that as well.
I think that, and that's my conclusion. Now, I think some of my friends, they're not happy with it, and I respect their opinion, but it's like with this, is it an age group? Is it our generation? Is it
I think that's a possibility. Doctor Who has always tried to be sort of contemporary, and the younger generations, they've got some very, I think, bizarre ideas. I've got I've got teenage children, and some of the things that they're exposed to, which I'm hearing about, I'm just thinking, what the fuck? You know what I mean? So it might be that as we get older, there's going to be more of an increasing discontinuity with, and that might be that.
I mean, when I was dressing up in 80s and wearing peroxide hair and weird clothes, and my parents were, what you're wearing, and you don't and then there were things on TV they didn't like I was into because it was my generation.
That's right.
And all I'm saying, I'm not defending, I'm not taking a side, but I think with a 21st century audience, I think we're living in a different world now.
Oh yeah.
I really do think we're living. They're going about the pronoun thing and all this, but whether you agree with it or not, and I'm going to state this. Everybody has a right to their opinion. That's one thing I will not. People have got that opinion. Then that's up to them. I'm not right, but I think they're trying to be progressive, and appeal to a younger audience. We've got our doctors.
But what about the classic fans?
We've got our doctors.
Yeah, well, but that's the thing. It may be as it progresses if it carries on like this. I think that you are half right. I think that what I think is that is a factor, but I think that Russell T Davies is putting it too much to the extreme. I think that you can get the right balance where you can have some contemporary stuff. But I think that Russell T Davies is making it. I mean, the Davros fiasco. You know how upset I got the other week with that. He's taking it to a level which is ridiculous. I think you can have that, and it's too far. It's too much that way. It's too over the top, and that's what I've got an issue with. You can have some contemporary issues in the show, and I think with the Rose Donner's character last week, I actually think for the most part that was actually handled quite well. I didn't actually have much of a problem with that.
I didn't think about it, just watched it.
No, that was fine. And even like this week with the doctor saying he fancied Isaac, that I didn't mind that. But like I said, the one thing which is starting to happen, if you're now starting to change history, and this is happening more and more now, where people are actually, what if in the next few years our children at school, they're not going to be taught certain things because it is considered not suitable for them to be educated in reality. You cannot have that. to change the physical race of a historic character. I just think that's
but Channel 5 did it last year with that. Channel 5 did it, but I remember at Royal Family 600-700 years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of the. I think it was something to do with Elizabeth I.
Okay.
And it was. I think it was one of the queens or the princess. That on Channel 5 they did the story of one of them, and she was black, and everybody kicked off because the person, she was Scottish and white. But I'm not making a point, but a lot of people carried on about it.
But like I said, it's
saying you need to get with. Now, I'm not bothered if an actor of a different persuasion or different colour or plays a character. I don't have a problem with that. But I think when you're making stuff historical,
it's the historical reference I'm talking about, and that's the one thing which they cannot do. I'm sorry, I feel quite strongly about that. The actor was fine in his role, and if he had been a different character, he would have been fine. It's nothing about the actor, and it's nothing about different races. But what I'm saying, and again, I know it's it's just maybe I'm getting on more old-fashioned, but you cannot change history just for political correctness. And I actually feel quite strongly about that. And the fact is that if Davies is already doing this with Sir Isaac Newton, then what are we going to see?
I saw an interview with him. I think a day or so ago on YouTube, and he said he wants to take the Doctor into more problems of society, like issues.
Well, okay. I mean, look.
He said it's like adding reality to the.
Well, look at the 13th episode, Rosa, where we saw they go back to the Rosa Parks thing in the 1950s on the bus. I thought that episode was actually handled very well. I actually thought that was a very strong episode.
It was.
And also Demons of the Punjab. You know, you can tackle issues of race and hate and discrimination, but those were accurate. They were historically accurate based on the actors.
Yes, so you're like an observer.
Yeah, and Doctor Who's done that, but you cannot change the race of a historical character. You cannot do that. That is completely, utterly unnecessary and wrong. And
the other thing is, as well, that I believe you can write a science fiction story with all that in it without getting political about it.
Yeah.
You can write a very powerful... Look at Star Trek. This is the 60s. When this will be our last battlefield with the two black and white
one of the
aliens.
most wonderfully created episodes of racism.
And
it was one of my favourites because it was so clever.
Spock destroys racism in about a second.
Yeah.
He just wipes the entire. He just wipes it out. Where he says, "Yeah, but you're both the same."
Yeah.
No, we're not. Yeah, but you are.
Yeah, but I'm black on one side and on the other. Yeah.
On different sides, but you're still both the same. You come from the same place. And the way we're getting annoyed with him, the character.
Brilliant.
And he said, "Well, I'm not changed because I'm only going by what I see. You're both the fucking same." And they wrote this powerful that where hatred will take you. There were nothing. That is how you write. If you want to get a political point of view across, which I'm not against, you do it in a certain way and you make it powerful in an amazing story.
Yeah, what you don't do is just make an unnecessary gimmicky scene, which wasn't even integral to the story, just to put yet another message across. That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm so upset about it.
But Russell T. Davies said he's going to do this.
I know he's going to do that. Yeah, I know. And they've already messed up Davros. They're already changing historical characters. I'm sorry, but I mean, how long ago was it? I did that Star Wars intro, and I said I'm very dubious about Doctor Who, and that was about a year ago. And I'm telling you, I'm still standing by my my doubts about the way it's going. You know.
Yeah. I'm in the same position as you.
Yeah. Well, look, we've got one more to come with that American actor. I can never remember his name. I do think that they saved a lot of the money in this week's episode for the big stuff next week. I think that it's going to be quite a big one. And next week,
is it?
Go on.
Is it regeneration?
Yeah.
That day.
Yeah, it's regeneration time. So that's going to be interesting. So I'm looking forward to that. And then it's only about 3 weeks until we've got the Christmas special. So that'll be interesting as well.
Yes.
So, but like I said, interesting times. Both the actors, Catherine Tate and David Tennant, are brilliant in their roles. Back
they're
to the back.
fantastic.
So it's weird. It's weird time for them too.
I love the robot I've been walking.
Oh, what? It's like one
corridor
step,
for 3
one
years.
step. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah,
That was great. And the
for 3 years, and that's what they should have focused on that more.
I mean,
That's
it
what they should
did
have
feel
focused on.
like a proper classic Doctor Who. It wasn't. It was a bit of a bottle episode, but it was great. I loved it. I know, and the weird way that
again,
it was good. I thought it was good.
It just got through the gate for me.
Yeah, me too. It wasn't like a masterpiece, but I'm glad I watched it. I enjoyed it. I'll definitely watch that again.
I did. It was okay.
Yeah, it was alright.
The thing is with these specials, maybe it's me, but I've been expecting a lot more from them.
Yeah.
You know, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, after the 50th anniversary. Yeah.
They paid him £1 million.
What? Dave Tennant?
Yeah, they paid him over £1 million. Yeah.
What? You're kidding? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
£1 million for 3 episodes. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, he'd be smiling all the way to the bank then, wouldn't he?
And well, he will be. But I just thought if you're prepared to flash out that type of money, that the right.
Maybe that's why.
So that we're going to get free. We should have had 3 legendary stories by next week, and we haven't.
Well, I know that
episodes are hit and miss.
There is a small spoiler for next week. A well-known classic companion is going to show up next week.
Is that it?
I'm not saying who it is. I know who it is. If you don't know, I won't say. But there is a companion coming back next week. That's what I'm saying. Okay, but yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, so is there anything else before we go into our focus of the week?
Aren't we going to have to reset?
Yeah, I know that. I'm going to do that after we sort of like do the out. Yeah, so every week you say that. I'll do that. Don't worry. So there's nothing else, right?
Well, what's the point of what you're going to give it? I'm going to give Doctor Who a 7.
Yeah, same as last week. I think it was a 7 last week.
Same, just through the gate.
Yeah, 7. I'll give it a 7. It was different from episode 1, but yeah, I think it's a 7. It's a fair score for it. So, all right, Martin, let's go into our focus of the week. Here we go.
It's the
Solar Sci-Fi
Focus of the Week.
Right, and we're back. So this week we are focusing on a movie from 1987. It is classed as an American science fiction comedy film directed by Joe Dante and produced by Michael Fennell. Steven Spielberg serves as an executive producer. It was inspired by the 1966 science fiction film Fantastic Voyage, which we have already reviewed. It stars Dennis Quaid, Martin Short, and Meg Ryan, with Robert Picardo and Kevin McCarthy, who of course we know from the Invasion of the Body Snatchers. The music was composed by Jerry Goldsmith, who of course is a great writer, also a composer as well. It earned $25.9 million in worldwide theatrical rentals and won an Oscar for Best Visual Effects, and the only film directed by Joe Dante to do so. So, Martin, what do you think of Innerspace?
I like Innerspace.
I do too. I went to the pictures to see it, cinema. I was quite young, and because a lot of these films, you tend to have seen these at the cinema more than me, but it was quite big when it came out. I remember it was a pretty big film.
Right, well.
And I can't remember who I saw it with, but I know at that point I had seen Fantastic Voyage and The Incredible Shrinking Man, and I know from my perspective it is fascinating, the idea of being miniaturized and living in a different world, but within our world, and you're in a different sort of size perspective.
In a space.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a really, really good film. So where did you first see it then? Did you see it at the cinema as well?
No, VHS.
Oh, you saw it on VHS. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So what were your impressions when you first saw it? Did you think it was a clever film, a bit daft? How did it go with you?
I always liked Dennis Quaid. I always thought he played good characters.
Yeah, I did too. I mean,
Yeah, go on.
I was going to say another film we'd have to talk about in the future is Enemy Mine, which also stars
classic.
Dennis Quaid, which is a great movie, which I'm surprised you've not reviewed that. But yeah, I think Dennis Quaid is a great actor from the stuff I've seen him. I have only seen a few things with Martin Short, who's more of a comedy actor, but I thought his role as the recipient of the mini sub, or submersible, what it was called, was done very, very clever. I remember one of the early scenes where he's in the doctor's. He's a hypochondriac, and he's waiting to see his regular doc. And Dennis Quaid's character has plugged himself into his inner ear, and he starts talking to him through his ear. And of course, the Martin Short character thinks he's literally having some sort of breakdown. And it's very, very funny. I like the idea of it actually, rather than being a serious science fiction movie, right, like Fantastic Voyage, where in that movie they were trying to save a comatose patient who had important information. This way round, of it just being a weird sort of comedy where there's this rival company who's trying to get the technology to do their own miniaturization project. I just think it was a very, very funny film.
I liked the henchman that was in it. You know, the henchman.
Oh, that guy's been. He was in. He was in Commando, and he was in.
Yes.
He's been in a few movies. He's in that movie we saw recently.
He was funny.
He was very funny, and he had he had a plastic hand, and his finger was a shotgun. And there's one scene where he fires it, and then his little kid looks at him, and he just blows his finger, and the smoke comes out. Very, very funny guy. And of course,
I mean,
go on.
It's a standard film, isn't it? Secret corporation, scientists benefit mankind. Greedy corporation comes in, wants the technology for nefarious purposes.
Yeah.
And he gets trapped in that Martin Short's body. I'm in and out with Martin Short. I've seen a few of his films. He's hit and miss with me, but I did think he was quite good in this.
Yeah, I quite.
But you don't hear from him now.
He was also in Mars Attacks as well.
Yes.
Because that movie had so many actors from so many different things in that one. I'm a bit on the fence with Martin Short. I don't dislike him. I've never seen a film where I just thought he's the most fantastic person on the planet for his acting.
No.
He's just kind of
like. He's good in this.
Yeah, I think that if I've seen him in whatever I've seen him in, this movie is his best role, I think. Also, we've got Meg Ryan. Meg Ryan's one of those actors that, you know, she's been in a lot of romantic comedies, which I'm not really into, kind of thing. I think she's in When Harry Met Sally, which I never thought was very funny.
I think so. Isn't that famous for the orgasm?
Yeah, exactly. And that was the only ever scene I remember her doing that, when she's like in a cafe or something. Another actor, of course. Well, two actors from science fiction backgrounds. Kevin McCarthy, who of course was in the original Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and made a cameo in the remake, which is one of my favourite movies of all time. And of course, a guy who either wore a wig or he did have hair then, and that was of course Robert Picardo as the cowboy, who was really, really funny. I think he's
got an incredible range as well.
He's very good in comedy actually. I loved him in Gremlins too. Yes, that's another great example of him. He was like the boss, wasn't he? He worked in the I really like Robert Picardo. Everything I've seen, he's a very, very good actor, and as you say, he can take on all sorts of different roles.
Yes.
What I like about this is it's a very mid-80s. I love that 80s vibe about the movie, the way it looks, the soundtrack, the direction, I think it's a very, very clever film.
It's like Martin Short's character's got no confidence.
Exactly, but he learns confidence as he goes
Dennis
along.
Quaid's character's like an ex-Air Force
person,
pilot, special forces,
exactly,
confident, and he gives them, when they start working together, when they both start working, he gets this new sense of confidence.
Yeah, he does.
There's a lot more in this film.
Yeah. I mean, I also like the fact that in some ways. I'm glad it never had like a remake or anything or like a sequel. It's just a
No.
one-off movie, and that's all it needed.
Yeah.
You know, it's very strong. Dick Miller is also in it as a cabbie. And Dick Miller, of course, is the actor who's been in so many movies, which we've always talked about before. He's one of those actors that always gets in 80s movies, so it was nice to see
He's
him.
just everywhere.
Yeah, he is. He's one of those guys that's in every single movie that you can see in the 80s, and he's always plays like a janitor or like someone who's like in Terminator. He was like selling guns, and you know, and he was Mr. Futterman, I think it was in Gremlins, the first one as well. So yeah, I think it was a very, very good film. Did you like? I mean, it had a good musical score as well. I think that was pretty good as well.
When I watched, I rented it out of VHS when I finally got older. When it first came out of video, you couldn't get hold of it.
Right.
And I got it, and I watched it, and I watched it twice. I really enjoyed the film. Back to it every couple of years.
Yeah, I've not seen it.
You know,
I mean,
and every time you watch it, it seems different when you rewatch it somehow.
Yeah, and it also, I think the special effects for the film are pretty good as well. I like the shots of the you know, inside them. There's a scene where Marty Short's character gets really stressed out and his blood pressure starts going up, and he ends up, the submersible miniaturized thing starts going along the arteries towards the heart.
Yep.
And there's a scene where it's like it shoots out a harpoon just to stop going into the heart, where it'll kill Martin Short's character. I should know the character's name. And I like that. What else was good about it?
I like the submarine. I like the submarine fight.
Yeah, I like the way it spins around really
submarines.
fast. It spins to be miniaturized, and yeah, because originally it was supposed to be.
But they have a fight in his body.
Yes,
Two
that's right.
submarines.
Yeah, and that was quite cool. And in the end, the guy sort of ends up being digested. And Quaid says, "You just digested the bad guy." And then Martin Short's character's got, which is funny. Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot to really say about the movie apart from the fact that it is a film which is worth watching if you like science fiction and you like comedy, which doesn't always work. There are some, but I've always thought that the mix of comedy and science fiction is not as big as you'd imagine it to be. You know,
I saw. I've only seen it once. Not seen it in years. It was Ben Stiller. He did The Watch.
What's that? The
The
Watch?
science fiction. It's Ben Stiller. They're all in it. It's all these like. It's.
What's it called? What's the film called?
This film is called The Watch. Ben Stiller.
I've never seen
It's
that.
about a neighbourhood watch, but they don't realise there's an alien invasion going on in the neighbourhood.
Do you know what? I wouldn't mind checking that out. Is it worth watching?
Oh, have you not seen it? I
Never
thought
heard
you
of
might
it.
have seen it.
No.
Talking about Innerspace, it's sort of. I don't know why that came into my
Yeah,
head. But
it's alien invasion, comedy,
It's got
science
that
fiction.
feel to it.
All right,
I'm in and out with Ben Stiller, but
I
this is
quite like Ben
funny.
Stiller. He was in what's it? Something About Mary. I thought he was good in that.
Yes, that's good.
And he was very funny in an episode of Extras as well with Ricky Gervais, where
Yeah,
I do. Was he in Meet the Parents as well? He was, wasn't he?
I like some in Tropical Thunder as well.
I've got
Tropical
that. I've not
Thunder.
seen that, but I've not seen The Watch, which.
It's
Yeah, okay. I'll
yeah,
check it
have
out.
you found it?
Yeah, I found it. It looks good. I'll give it a watch, if you pardon the pun.
Hey,
didn't
it's
think
about
so.
an alien invasion in the neighbourhood,
Yeah,
and
all right.
he's part of the neighbourhood watch. And
Okay, that sounds good. All right. I mean, it
but
reminds
yeah,
me
you
of-
know, in a space,
After you, go on.
you
Sorry.
keep cutting out.
Sorry, mate. It's just that. Sorry. Carry on what you're saying. Go on.
All right, it's in a space. You couldn't have made a sequel to it.
No.
I mean, there's just no place. Better as a one-off.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that what I liked about it, though, like I said, it had a good soundtrack, it had good actors, it had good special effects, it had good pacing, it had good comedy, and it's just a film that you watch it and you just think, yeah, you feel really kind of satisfied when you
Yeah.
watched it. You kind of think, well, look, That's a bit of harmless fun. It sort of like it took us in an interesting direction. So yeah, so I think we're going to make this a relatively short review because my voice is dying anyway. So I suppose.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
What would you rate it out of 10 then?
7.
7. I think I'll give it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it an 8. I think. I think
Okay.
I think I'll give it an 8. It's close to. I liked it slightly more than a 7, but I don't think I'll give it any more than an 8. So yeah, I think it's a good movie. If you haven't seen it, it's just a fun ride, and I like the way it goes in the end, and yeah, it's a good movie. It's definitely worth watching. But like I said, I wouldn't mind focusing on some more sci-fi comedies, and I'll definitely check out The Watch as well. So, fantastic.
Yeah, The Watch is a good. You should watch it over Christmas.
Yeah, I will watch it over Christmas, and then we can review it next year in the show in the new year. All right, Martin. Well, thank you for that. I think, like I said, we're going to wrap up now because my voice is, like I said, my voice is like literally had it, and I need to go and have a gargle or something. So what we'll do is, so next week we're going to come back. I know we've done a lot of talk about Doctor Who, but next week what we do in the series, which we've done loosely over the years, is we do an episode where we focus on each era of a Doctor, and the only ones we haven't done are 1, 2, 7 and 9. So we've still got a few Doctors to do, but technically this is a short era of another Doctor. This is the 14th Doctor era, so we're going to do that. It's a possibility we might get some other people involved with the show. If possible, I could do that. If not, it'd be just the two of us. But I'd like to sort of, once we've seen it all, we can probably discuss how we think it went and whether it made it actually a good 60th anniversary or whether it was a bit of a damp squib, shall we say. So, okay. What I'm going to leave you this week is I found this really funny advert for Star Trek Enterprise in 2001. It's low pitch quality, but it's quite funny, and it just made me laugh when I watched it, so I wanted to share it with you all. So, Martin, thank you very much for bearing with my croaky voice and the bad internet as usual, and we'll see you next week on the Solar One Sci-Fi Podcast. Live long and prosper. I'm going to get some Lemsip.
Yes?
I have a petition here to stop the Space Channel from showing so much Star Trek. Could I please get your signature?
What show?
Star Trek. Look at the space schedule here. Star Trek the original, Star Trek the Next Generation, Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and Star Trek Voyager. It's all they play. And it's gotta stop.
Do they play Magnum P.I.?
No, ma'am. They don't. They play Star Trek. The only people that watch this crap live in their basement and have no lives. They wear stupid costumes, go to conventions, and call themselves captain and stuff. It's gotta stop, and will you please sign my petition?
Well, I still don't know what you're talking about, but I'll get my son to sign for you. Gary, get up here, dear. He lives in the basement. Such a nice boy.
Doc!
Are you okay?
I'm fine. Kapla!
Doha Jupadak Hasta. Charkum Raj.
Get ready for more Star Trek Enterprise, the new series, coming this fall to space.